Hello everyone, you have come to Tata Comic Preview channel. Let read together. Have fun. Sikong Baichen was confused. He did not understand why Lu Zhou suddenly asked about this matter. Lu Zhou no longer held this piece of information back from them. He said honestly, I've been to the Flying Star House before and fought Yizhen in his dojo. Meng Changdong exclaimed in surprise, you fought him in his dojo, Senior Lu? The absolute heaven formation can't do anything to me, Lu Zhou said indifferently. Sikong Baichen was slightly surprised as well. This absolute heaven formation is extremely difficult to inscribe and set up. It has a high requirement for the surroundings. The enemies inside the formation would be greatly weakened while the formation's user will be greatly strengthened. Although Yizhen is a 9-leaf cultivator, the strength he displayed when he was in the 9th temple was close to a 10-leaf cultivator. Moreover, he has the karmic fire. I'm truly impressed you're able to shrug off his absolute heaven formation and best him, Brother Lu. Meng Changdong frowned as he said, no wonder there's a rumor about me fighting on the middle peak. Someone even saw Yizhen being struck down with the 9 cuts hand seals. So, the rumors are true. The Taoist 9 cuts hand seal? Sikong Baichen was startled. The Confucian, Buddhist, and Taoist sects each have their own advantages, and they're further divided into different cultivation methods. Brother Lu, which one are you skilled in? He once witnessed Lu Zhou using all creation as a sword from the swordless path, so he had assumed Lu Zhou specialized in the sword. Aside from music, my master is skilled in everything, Little Yuan said, however, striking with the palm is easiest and most convenient. Little Yuan words seemed flawless. Sikong Baichen asked in a mix of surprise and curiosity, you've mastered the Confucian, Buddhist, and Taoist techniques? At this juncture, Lu Zhou felt it was a good time for him to talk about this matter. He said, it's not easy to master all 3. However, have you ever wondered why the concept of cultivation in the Golden Lotus domain is the same as the one in the Red Lotus domain? The same? Sikong Baichen was slightly stunned, his expression stiffened. I've never been to the Golden Lotus domain. I've only heard about it recently. At this moment, Meng Changdong chimed in from the side, the Sky Martial Court has been studying this matter as well. There was a theory that the 2 domains were originally connected. Lu Zhou and Sikong Baichen turned to look at Meng Changdong in unison. Sikong Baichen nodded and said, indeed, that's possible. As a transmigrator, Lu Zhou had more knowledge compared to them. He had a basic understanding of tectonic shifts. However, this was only a guess with no evidence. After a moment, he asked, have you been to the Endless Ocean? The others stayed silent and humbly listened as the elites conversed. The conversation between elites was different and interesting after all. Sikong Baichen nodded and said, when I first attained the 9-leaf stage, I went to the Endless Ocean. I can never forget that experience. I rode on the mount and flew as far as I could over the Endless Ocean. The few oceanic beasts I encountered at first were no threat to me. However, on the 5th day, I encountered hordes of oceanic beasts. As a result, I got injured and lost my mount. Fortunately, I managed to return. These oceanic beasts separate the 2 shores. When I crossed the Endless Ocean, I encountered a massive beast that was 100,000 feet long. Just its fin was humongous, Lu Zhou said. As soon as Lu Zhou finished speaking, Little Yuan and Kong chimed in, we saw it as well. Sikong Baichen exclaimed in shock, even you can't do anything against it, Brother Lu? Lu Zhou shook his head. In my opinion, even if every cultivator in the Red Lotus domain joined forces, they still won't stand a chance against the beast. The flying chariot flew against the wind. It looked like a golden meteor, enveloped in Zhenghai's golden energy. After listening to your words, Brother Lu, I really want to see this colossal beast of the Endless Ocean with my own eyes, Sikong Baichen said. Meng Changdong and the others nodded somewhat emotionally as well. They felt as though their horizons had been widened. The flying chariot continued flying for the entire day. During the journey, Lu Zhou and Sikong Baichen discussed the cultivation paths of the Confucian, Buddhist, and Taoist sections. They talked about the path of blades as well. Everyone on the flying chariot felt that they had learned a lot. When the sun was finally high in the sky and its rays refracted into a rainbow through the thin layer of mist, Cloud Mountain appeared before their eyes. "We've arrived." The others walked out onto the deck and saw the 12 main peaks of Cloud Mountain that towered into the clouds. Meng Changdong said, "Cloud Mountain is known for its height. The 12 peaks are arranged in a connected array of 7 stars. It's one of the largest sects in Great Tang." Zhou stroked his beard and nodded. He looked at the 12 peaks as he stood under the sun. He asked, "How do the 12 sects compare to the Flying Star House?" That's not an easy comparison to make," Meng Changdong replied. "In terms of strength, it seems like the 12 sects are more powerful. However, the Flying Star House has Yizhen." Little Yuan said with a scoff, "Who cares if he's Yizhen or Li Zhen? When we get there, my master will kill him like a fly." On Cloud Mountain, the disciples of the 12 sects gathered inside a hall on the main peak. A disciple stood respectfully in the hall as he asked, "Sect Master, the 9th Temple's flying chariot is here. They don't seem friendly. Should we notify the Sky Martial Courts Master and take them down with this opportunity?" Seated upright in the hall was the master of the 12 sects of Cloud Mountain, Nie Qingyun. He slowly rose to his feet before he walked down the steps. "Where does the 9th Temple's confidence come from? The Flying Star House's elder, Yizhen, initially intended to meet you, but he changed his mind at the last minute. He said the 9th Temple has the support of an elite and advises you to be careful," the disciple replied. At this moment, one of the elders at the side bowed and said, "Yizhen is a hypocrite, and he can't be trusted. 3 disciples from our sect who went to the Flying Star House are still missing to this day. Yizhen is supposed to give us an explanation, but the 9th Temple has come instead. There's a high possibility this is part of Yizhen's scheme." Nie Qingyun turned to look at the elder. He nodded and said, "Our meeting on Cloud Mountain today is supposed to resolve the conflict between us and the Flying Star House. I won't meet anyone else." "Understood." Dong. 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 The bell tolled. On the platform on the towering peaks of the 12 sects, several nascent divinity realm disciples flew into the air toward the 9th Temple's flying chariot. The huge chariot slowed down and hovered before the 12 sects. "The sect master has said that he won't meet any guests today. Kindly turn back." The others on board the flying chariot were puzzled. Yao Qingchuan stepped out. He looked at the disciples from the 12 sects and said, "Senior Lu and the temple master were invited by Yizhen to come here. How can we leave just because you ask us to?" Since Zhou was bold enough to come, it was certain he was confident he would be able to deal with it. This fight had to be fought. The disciples hovering in the air said, "Temple Master Sikong, Sect Master Nye has said that he doesn't wish to meet you today. Yizhen isn't a member of the 12 sects. He can't make decisions on our behalf." A thought appeared in Sikong Beichen's mind. He projected his voice to Zhou, "Brother Lu, as we expected, Yizhen is truly cunning. No matter how this situation turned out, it would be beneficial to Yizhen. If the 9th Temple and the 12 sects fought, Yizhen only needed to wait to reap the benefits at the end. If they did not fight, Cloud Mountain would be forced to be friendly with the Flying Star House, considering the pressure from 9th Temple." Zhou said loudly, "Notify Nie Qingyun that I'd like to meet him." The disciples asked, "What business do you have with our sect master? Xie Xian has led many Cloud Mountain disciples to annihilate the Thousand Willow Monastery. Have you forgotten about this matter?" Tian Buji flew out at this moment. "You killed Elder Xie, we're the ones who should demand payback, right?" The disciple was slightly baffled. "It's the same either way," Tian Buji said. These words clearly confused the 12 sects disciples. "So, you're here to look for trouble?" The disciple was shocked. Tian Buji and Yao Qingchuan turned to look at Sikong Beichen and Zhou, who were still on board the flying chariot. The two of them did not answer. At this moment, Yu Shangrong smiled faintly and said, "My apologies, that's indeed why we're here." Nobody expected such a direct answer. Not even the ninth temple, who was feared by everyone in the cultivation world, was as forthright as this when they carried out their business. However, this was rather thrilling, there was no beating around the bush. The disciple's expression changed as he waved to the others behind him. Kindly wait here. I'll notify the sect master of this. Wait. The disciple was taken aback. Yu Shangrong turned around and cupped his fists at his master. Master, shall I deal with these trivial matters? Go. Yu Shangrong nodded slightly and flew out. Sikong Beichen asked, Brother Liu, you have so much trust and confidence in your disciples? Aren't you worried they might go overboard? This is the evil sky pavilion style, Lu Zhou said as he stroked his beard, they are my disciples after all. After a brief pause, he looked at his other disciples and loudly said, Go on. I'll hold the sky up if it falls. It seemed like these words were the source of the evil sky pavilion disciples' confidence. Yu Shangrong flew in front of Tian Buji and Yao Qingchuan. He looked at the disciples of Cloud Mountain and said, Since we're here to look for trouble, why do you need to notify the others? Lead the way. You. Zing. Yu Shangrong's longevity sword left its scabbard. Swish. 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 He controlled the longevity sword with pure primal chi. The sword glinted coldly under the sunlight as it flew around the group of Cloud Mountain disciples before it returned to its scabbard. With this, those disciples' hair was chopped off. Lead the way. The disciples of the 12 sects were so frightened that they immediately did as they were told. The flying chariot followed the disciples toward the main peak. Meanwhile, the disciples on the cloud platform were puzzled when they saw the huge chariot enter the 12 sects barrier. They instantly flew up and surrounded the flying chariot. Yu Shangrong, Tian Buji, and Yao Qingchuan returned to the flying chariot. The others were filled with awe when they saw this. This was especially true for Tian Buji and Yao Qingchuan. They wondered how long they could enjoy this feeling of power and bullying others. Yao Qingchuan was one of Ninth Temple's first seats, and he was seldom bullied in the past. However, Tian Buji was different. The Thousand Willow Monastery had always been belittled by others and was often the target of bullying and ridicule. Indeed, they had wished they could behave as domineeringly as the evil sky pavilion. Many disciples flew toward the cloud platform near the main peak's hall. One elder hurried into the hall and said, Sect Master, the Ninth Temple's flying chariot entered our barrier. Nia Qingyun frowned deeply. He got up and hurried out of the hall. Outrageous. With a blur of movements, he appeared 10 meters in the air in front of the hall. 12 gray-robed elders gathered behind Nia Qingyun. They looked at the flying chariot that was slowly landing. Nia Qingyun projected his voice and said, Sikong Beichen, you're really bold. Nia Qingyun, I came to your territory, and yet, you're acting like a tortoise hiding in its own shell? A voice rang from the flying chariot. These words, naturally, angered the disciples of the 12 sects of Cloud Mountain. Nia Qingyun waved his arm. The 12 elders behind him took flight at once and made their way to the flying chariot. Meanwhile, on the other side of Cloud Mountain, Yi Zhen was seated in a small flying chariot. Jiang Shaoxing bowed and said, Master, they're going to start fighting soon. Very good. Your tactic has truly widened my horizons, Master. No matter how the three parties move next, you'll still reap the benefits, Jiang Shaoxing said. It's nothing to be proud of. Weakening your opponent's forces without a battle has always been a good strategy. However, I didn't expect this old man Lu to actually show up. Yi Zhen said. Should we seize the chance and send our man to annihilate the Thousand Willow Monastery? No need, Yi Zhen said slowly. First, the ones left in the Thousand Willow Monastery are small fries. Second, I'd still like to work with this elite with the surname Liu. Third, since they're bold enough to come, I'd like to reap the benefits of the fishermen if I can. This way I can also annihilate the Thousand Willow Monastery. That's brilliant, Master. I'm enlightened. The elders of the 12 sects of Cloud Mountain flew up with their palm seals at the ready. Scram. A thunderous sound technique rang in the air when the elders drew close. It rippled out and down from the flying chariot. The 12 elders felt as though they had been struck by lightning. They plummeted as their blood essence surged, causing colors to drain from their faces. Nie Qingyun scowled. He looked at the flying chariot in confusion. Since when did Sikong Baichen master such a powerful sound technique? Although it was not difficult for a 10-leaf cultivator to repel his elders, it should not be so easy. Sikong Baichen's voice rang in the air at this moment. Nie Qingyun, although you've taunted me with your words, I won't hold it against you. However, do you think you can bear the consequences of offending Brother Liu? Brother Liu? Nie Qingyun was further confused. At this moment, he saw an old man with the aura of an immortal flying out of the flying chariot with Sikong Baichen. He saw a saber user, a swordsman, and 2 young girls behind the 2 old men. Soon after, the others from the flying chariot followed suit as well. They drew level with Nie Qingyun. Nie Qingyun had a long history with Sikong Baichen. Therefore, he was familiar with all 9 first seats. When he saw the group before him, he discovered, apart from Yao Qingchuan and Zhao Jianghe, the others were strangers to him. As a 10-leaf cultivator, he immediately sensed the extraordinary aura of the old man next to Sikong Baichen. He immediately cupped his fists and asked, "You are, sir?" Lu Zhou did not answer Nie Qingyun. Instead, he asked, "Where's Yizhen?" "Yizhen isn't here yet. If you're looking for him, old mister, you should visit the Flying Star House." Nie Qingyun could sense hostility from the old man. Surely the old man was not simple if Sikong Baichen accompanied him here. "You'll do." Lu Zhou placed one hand on his back. He stroked his beard and said, "I don't like beating around the bush. Do you understand me? This tone, this mannerism, this bearing." The elders and disciples of the 12 sects of Cloud Mountain were angered by Lu Zhou, who seemed to be reprimanding their sect master. The elders of the 12 sects of Cloud Mountain took flight again. They were about to speak when Nie Qingyun raised a hand and said gruffly, "Stand down." "Sect master. I said stand down. Are my orders meaningless now?" There was a reason Nie Qingyun was the sect master. The 12 elders retreated, still wary. Nie Qingyun saw the smile in Sikong Baichen's eyes. He kept his calm as he cupped his hands and asked, "Old mister, are you here for Yizhen?" "Yizhen has invited me here for a conversation. Are you unaware of that?" Lu Zhou asked. Nie Qingyun scowled and said, "I really am unaware of this matter." Xia Chengxiu said, "Xia Xian led many disciples in an attempt to annihilate the Thousand Willow Monastery. How do you explain that?" Nie Qingyun frowned upon hearing these words. He asked gruffly, "Who are you?" "Master of the Thousand Willow Monastery," Xia Chengxiu said with a hint of pride. It felt good to be supported by a powerful person. One of the elders at the side sneered and said, "So, you're that weak monastery master? You have no place to interrupt while the sect master is speaking." The Thousand Willow Monastery was too weak, anyone could make fun of it. In a world where it was the survival of the fittest, how could anyone be free of this concept that had been around since time immemorial?